You also have like a great glasses like a
Yeah,
you know,
man.
you
Well,
got
you
a
do
whole.
too, man.
Well, I need to
didn't get the
graduate
memo.
this pair. I'm ready for like a new pair of glasses. So
There you
I'm
go.
like, I need to go figure out where.
All right.
All right, we're rolling.
Can we start just with this story of like you getting schemed, like scam? I guess scam.
Yeah.
It was a Ponzi situation, right?
Man, it was one of those days. And what's funny, it was like I was in the locker room. I think I was in New York. I was watching CNBC, and they're like, "Oh, Alan Stanford's in handcuffs." I'm like, "Excuse me?" And just to give you a little note, like, yeah, my money was invested with the Alan Stanford company. When I started investing, I really fell in love with the financial side of things. So I was religiously reading books and going to their offices, getting all this information. Like, this is great. And then like months later, I'm looking at CNBC and I'm like, I know this guy. And he's walking around in handcuffs. And then I'm calling my financial advisor, right? And I was like, hey, what's going on? Hey, we're shutting our places down. The SEC rated it. Apparently, he's running some Ponzi scheme on Antiguan CDs, and we'll let you know what happens. And then, you know, when the state administrator comes in, it freezes everything. And now you have no access to your money. And whatever the market's doing, what it's doing. And by that time in 2008, 2009, we knew exactly what the market did. Fortunately, my money wasn't actually invested in the Antiguan CDs that were considered the Ponzi. But once you're in the actual the purview of the SEC, everything's up for grabs. So your money's just frozen.
Let me just introduce everybody to you, man, because we're gonna be here for a while.
Yes,
I've been
sir.
waiting for this episode for so long.
Yeah.
First of all, I remember when you first reached out to me just to introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And it was so refreshing, you know? So I was thinking about it like, Will, we gotta get Kevin on the show just because his story is one that a lot of advisors are trying to figure out how to become independent. They're trying to break away from sort of the corporate wheel or treadmill, right? They don't know how to do it.
Yes.
But also your personal experience with a financial advisor that did not have your best interests or a firm that did not have your best interests at heart, right?
Yeah.
So all of these things combined is one, just a credible, crazy story.
Yeah.
But then seeing what you're doing is also incredible. So Kevin, I'm so happy that you're here and I'm looking forward to diving in. Why don't you tell us about your like baseball upbringing so people can get the background before we kind of move forward.
I was brought up to the big leagues in 2006 and 2007 with the Yankees. Everybody know who the Yankees are, right? So the evil empire. I didn't know what to expect until I was designated for assignment, which is a way of getting fired, and then picked up by the Oakland A's and went to play in the big leagues for the Oakland A's. I didn't realize the differences between organizations until you step onto the field for another organization and you're like, what is this? Is this AAA? This doesn't feel like the big leagues anymore, you know? I love the Yankees. I love Major League Baseball. But again, I don't watch it anymore, which is funny.
Was that experience then the thing that sent you on the path, you know, that sort of kickstarted to where you are today? Like, is that how you got into finance?
Yeah, well, how I got into finance was because I saw a guy getting arrested, right? And I said, never again. And at that time, I had a torn tendon in my wrist. I was with the Pirates at that time. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna go back to school while I'm rehabbing. I'm gonna get my finance degree. I wanna see exactly how this thing works. Not only do I have to protect myself, I gotta protect my community. And that's how it honestly started, because my community didn't know what was going on. And then me personally, I didn't know what was going on. So I wanted to get educated. My finance degree, now I'm a CFP, all the alphabet soup behind my name. And I'm just here to not only protect myself, but to protect the community around me and the people that entrust their money with me.
After you got the degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was your next step? Did you like start your firm? Walk us through that journey. Because I think that a lot of advisors, although they weren't playing for the Yankees, and we've all been through this, like the cycle, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, get your degree, get your CFP, work at a firm.
Yeah.
Do that long enough, build a book, and then maybe one day
Yeah.
you can go independent, right? I think we've kind of democratized that a bit, where you don't have to go in that order anymore.
Yeah.
And you can sort of start your firm. So tell us your journey to independence.
Well, so I got my degree, and then I got a job at TD Ameritrade. I was there I got my 7, my 63, my 66, all those licenses. And I realized really quickly, like, this place ain't for me. I said, this is not going to work for me. I originally wanted to open up a hedge fund and do that stuff. But again, like, who's going to give me money? I'm a kid and I don't have much background. How am I going to raise capital? 6 months later, I was like, you know what? This is not going to work for me. So I decided to go a different direction. Got with a firm. Park Avenue Securities was a broker dealer of an insurance agency, which is Guardian Life Insurance. And they had a general agency in Fort Worth, Texas. So I met with the guy. He asked me to come in and build his investment arm. They didn't have anything. They had like $100,000 in assets.
What year was this?
2012, maybe?
So 2012.
Yeah,
So we're looking
2012.
at 13 years ago.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the investment landscape was way different.
Yeah, oh my God.
So
yeah.
let's note that for all the advisors here. We've come a long way. But go ahead.
Yeah. So go in there. I have to build an investment arm based on an insurance chassis. It was tough because they didn't have a lot of places to pivot. And then finally, what I decided to do in 2015, 2016, I said, we're going to change this, make this all advisory business, stop all of the annuity sales and things like that. And that's when we started exploding up to the upside. I mean, I think when I left there back in 2022, 2023, we were sitting at 63 million, basically coming off of nothing. I realized that if I wanted to be the person that I needed to be, I had to get away from there. And once I got my CFP 3 or 4 years ago, and they told me, no, we don't do tax planning. No, we don't do estate planning. No, you can't use this, that, and the other. That's when I realized that it was time to make a move.
You said something, and I think a lot of advisors, what they'll do is they'll begin to inch towards independence.
Yes.
But they won't make the jump. All right. So this is how I look at you making the inch towards independence.
Yeah.
You switch the commission-based product sales
Yes.
to all advisory.
Yes.
And for a lot of people that are in the wirehouses, they're selling a lot of products as well, right? Because they have the banks, they got lending, they got mortgage, they got all of these things that are quick hits of money. Yeah. So the switch to go independent and usually all advisory is a little more painful because they're like, I only have one tool in the shed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So go back to that, maybe 2013, 2014, and take me through what was happening in your mind to say, like, we have to make this switch. This is the next logical move.
If you want to annuitize the business, quote unquote, that's the best way to do it. Instead of just getting that one hit up front, you want to have consistent revenue over a longer period of time. And just by continuing to build that over time, I found that was the best revenue stream outside of just getting a $1 million annuity that's going to pay what it was 7% of the time, so $70,000. That's great, but that's not sustainable.
And it's not frequent.
You have an idea in your mind about what the client experience should be as well, right? It's not just, hey, there's a clear profit incentive from a business standpoint, but it's also, like you said it, right? It's not just insurance products, but it's the financial planning, it's estate, it's taxes.
You guys didn't bring me 2,000 miles to be like, to give you the canned response, like, you got to do it this way, you got to do it this way, right? I want to be vulnerable for a second.
Talk to us.
Okay.
Do it.
So not only was it just about the business, but it was about the people involved in the business. So it was July of 2013. And if you don't know what happened in July of 2013, Trayvon Martin, right? So this is just FYI. So my wife and I were at a park and it was boom, festival. Lights like flashing, like it was like, oh, this is a beautiful day. And then ding, and you got the verdict. You're like, and my wife and I said, we gotta go. I said, we gotta go. She said, what's going on? I said, we gotta go. And we left because that verdict meant a lot to my community. And then moving forward, the people inside of the agency that I was with, not understanding what that actually meant. I'm bringing this back to because if we're talking about you building something for yourself and for your community and what the vision looks like, you got to go and do that. And you're not susceptible to other people's ideas on how it should look. I don't want to build a business on someone else's ideas on what my business should look like, especially if I want to use tax planning, you can't tell me no. If I want to use estate planning, I could use mywealth.com. If I want to use a custodian, I could use Altruist, right? I can do these things because I have the ability to put those in place versus someone telling me you have to use e-money or you have to use right capital. You can't build a business that way.
So it sounds to me like a couple of things. Morals, moral alignment was huge for you. So you wanted to build a place that you felt seen, heard, and known,
Yes.
which a lot of advisors share that sentiment, right?
Yes.
Coming from wirehouses, especially in larger institutions. But another thing that I hear you saying is like, I can build the firm the way that I want to build it,
100%.
right? And I think that advisors almost discount that when they're going independent because I mean, we're kind of just been fed this spoon of like, this is the way that it's supposed to be done. So you saw a couple things. One of the things that stood out is like annuitizing the business. Obviously, scalable, durable revenue over time makes sense for a lot of advisors. But because they're in this system of the wirehouse, they're just unable to see that, right? You made another pivot. So moral alignment, building your dream firm was like two of the, I guess, big reasons for you to take that jump.
Yeah.
You left again.
Yeah.
So what was that jump like?
Before I took that jump, I wanted to know how it felt. So I wanted to know how my business would feel if all of the emphasis from an expense perspective is my responsibility. Healthcare costs, everything from tech. So I said, hey guys, I'm gonna pay for all my own stuff, right? So I wanted to get that feeling and get used to it. So in 2018, I started saying, okay, can I handle this? Can I handle this? And then knowing, okay, if I leave, what does my revenue look like? First of all, who's going to come with me? What does my revenue look like? And then when am I going to be able to break even based on what my comp is currently? And then when I had those numbers in my sights, I said, okay, I'm ready to go. Now, that's not for everybody to do that, right?
And you were on a grid at some point, right? So it's not even like you were taking home 100% of the revenue, right?
So
it's like
69%.
You were incurring, you said, I'm going to just incur these additional costs, even though I'm somewhere on this grid. Was that just because you were thinking, oh, maybe there's a portion of my book that's, I would leave behind, or I'm going to have to live pretty lean as I get this thing started up?
You're 100%. Like there's a portion of the book that you're going to leave behind, and there's a portion of the book that's not just necessarily yours. But what I did was I took the 69% that I was getting, and then I backed out, okay, what are my expenses? And then I said, okay, can I make this number up? How quickly? And that's when I said, okay, I can. I feel good about it. It's time to go. And that's when I made my jump, which is in 2023.
So you sound like the model citizen right now. Like this is, if you are going to break away from your firm, do it this way, right? Like go learn, right? Figure out what you want the culture of your firm to be and what tools you want to use, right? Then quiet quit. Is basically what you did, right? And then start your firm. But there's something we're missing here.
Okay.
We're missing the hard stuff, right? There's a reason why it's so hard for advisors to go independent.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the hard stuff. What was the hard part for you to say like, man, I can actually do this? You see people like double dutching, like I want to go independent, but maybe they sell a big product, right? And then that keeps them in the seat for another 6 months, right? And then they pack their bags, they do the math, they broke even on the grid, they've told their clients, and then they jump back out like, maybe I'll just get a couple more annuity sales before breaking away from my firm.
Or it's like maybe that equity promise that was made to me 3 years ago is actually going to come true this year. It's going to finally
come through, right? And I think that, when you think about just life in general, it's a bunch of hard decisions. It's a series of small bets that you have to make to kind of climb this ladder. Okay. And as an advisor, that's pretty much what you're doing, right? So talk to me about the hard stuff.
So I lost 35 pounds during that transition period because they sent me a cease and desist and all that stuff. So that stuff's gonna happen. I talked to them, they're like, Kevin, we have to do this. You just can't walk away. Any life transition or life change is always gonna be hard. Like and you're always wondering, am I making the right decision? And that's what keeps people in the seat because it's comfortable. That's one thing you have to get out of your comfort zone. Secondly is, are you truly okay with struggling the first 12, 18, 24 months? Because that revenue is not necessarily there. You gotta repopulate your book from day one, get all these assets over, then start building again on that book. And that takes time. It took almost a year or year and a half to get everybody over comfortably. And the last thing is to figure out as an advisor, who do you want to be? Do you want to be a business owner or do you want to be an advisor? The scariest part of this is finding something out that you should have known. And that's what Helen Stevens of Aspen Wealth Management helped me figure out because she walked me through the process. Like, hey, this, do this, don't do this, but do this. So get a mentor that's done this before so you don't have to hit those landmines. And she helped me out tremendously. So I would say the scariest part is just not knowing. You have to determine, are you a business owner or you're a financial advisor? Because there's two totally different hats you have to wear.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of themes here.
Yeah.
One of which is like mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
One is being comfortable with being uncomfortable, which I think is surprisingly difficult for advisors to do. You will be surprised, like when the market is volatile, it wasn't my clients texting me, it was other advisors. It's like, what are you texting me for? You're telling your clients to stay still, stay in the seat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're texting me about like, what can I do on an outreach platform to stop the bleeding, essentially? Like, advisors are sometimes, you know, the most nervous in the bunch.
One thing that you said really stood out to me, which was like the get comfortable being uncomfortable, but so quickly, and at least this would be my assumption, like how fast did you go from like, oh, this is new and uncomfortable to, no, actually, this is just my new normal?
Great question.
Great question. Yeah, that's a great question. So
I'm about to have twins, so I'm like, okay. I'm listening to you talk about this. I'm like, yeah, but I hopefully it's just gonna be my new normal soon. So
I mean, there's two ways to look at it. It took about a year. When you start feeling the revenue coming in, you start seeing, okay, I got this 30,000 hitting, I got this 50,000, I got this 100,000. Okay, I'm okay now. And then when you have money to kind of put away to say, okay, we have some money to backstop the business, that's when you start feeling a little bit more comfortable. But in the beginning, I'm gonna tell you, I mean, you're gonna lose some weight. You know what I mean? I did, and it was frustrating. But again, it goes back to business ownership versus financial advisor. They've always said this: you can't. At the end of the day, you're not gonna be able to be great at both. So eventually, you're gonna have to pick one side and go with it. And I'm getting to that point where I have to pick one side and move on. And maybe that's around $100 million or whatnot in AUM, but it's coming. It's coming very quickly.
Well, you have 2 advisors now working for you, right? At 9i.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Okay, so you said, first of all, I agree with you. There's outsized returns when you take that risk.
Yeah.
Right? And you've experienced those outsized returns. So congrats on what you've built. Let's talk about how you built it. Okay. All right, so now you left. You're in the thick of it. You're growing your revenue. Get really specific about like what those first 12 months looked like, right? Okay. Because I'm sure there's an advisor watching this right now that's like thinking about jumping and they need a real explanation about like, it's going to be like this. My first month, we may not have a client, right? But over 6 months, maybe we grow 1,000%, right? So talk to us about that.
If you have a book of business that you're trying to transition, that's when you get with a team, whether it be altruist. I mean, I use Schwab at the time. I don't want to badmouth anybody, but we use Schwab, and they get their transition team over, and we'll basically put all the information into the transition system. They'll start the ACATs, getting the documents out. It was more handholding than I thought it would be for me. After the ACATs, after all the transfers, after all of that, you have to just. This is one thing I'll say. You can't ignore the RIA side of things. And that's just the part one of it, because getting your LLC up and running, right? Doing the state regulatory paperwork. And there's a bunch of, like you can use KITSIS, you can use RIA in a box and all that stuff. That's part one. You got to have that tightened up. I had my first audit recently and everything was fine, but you have to have that tightened up because there's some things you just don't know. But from a business perspective, revenue is king, and make sure you get that revenue in as quickly as possible. Always work on a new client base, always work on referrals. I was on LinkedIn this week, and they were talking about the new processes and all the other stuff that people want to throw in your face, right? It's not a process, it's not anything new. It's just about you putting in the work to find the next best client and you being the best advisor for them. Make them raving fans. Make everyone raving fans so they don't want to leave you. And I talked to Josh Brown about this. And by the way, Josh Brown got us all hooked up, right? Josh Brown said, investment advising is just tissue paper, like getting the ACATs in and out, that's tissue paper. What else do you have? Tax planning, estate planning, investment management, financial planning. That's the stuff that keeps people sticky. You don't see Apple having an iPhone store or a Mac store anywhere else. It's all in one house. Now, I'm not going to be the jack of all trades and master of none, but at the end of the day, I want to keep people as sticky as possible. And that's one thing you have to build a sticky practice and get the revenue in to make sure that doesn't go away so your business can run.
So how many clients did you bring with you?
20 some odd clients with about 25 million.
So how did you grow to get to that over 50 and now approaching that $100 million?
Referrals.
Okay.
There's nothing better in life than a referral. They are raving fans, and the people that love you are going to introduce you. There's no rocket science behind that, right? So that's just where I believe in and where I stand is just continue to build in great services and be there in front of your clients. And what I've been doing is YouTube, because YouTube allows me to have these conversations really quickly. Like I can have a 3-minute video and send it out to everybody, and that's a touch.
Do you orient your YouTube strategy around client, like it's mostly for like client communication, client benefit, or are you thinking, I'm going to be attracting, viewers across YouTube here that will then ultimately reach out, like, and maybe that could be a byproduct of focusing YouTube on your client questions and needs?
It's all the above, but mainly it was for clients because I wanted to be able to have the ability to reach out to clients very quickly. Like I'll do my monthly updates, do a quick video, 5-minute video. By the time somebody reaches out to you, like if my client wants to refer them, hey, check out his YouTube channel, check out this, check out that. They already know who you are.
Yeah, and I guess the reason I ask is like, I feel like I hear two different things online. There's the like referrals, you can't rely on them. And then it's like, well, actually, it's a phenomenal way to grow your business. Like, but it's not like you're just relying on word of mouth. You're also creating this ecosystem around yourself that makes you more referable. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It makes you more referable. The ecosystem outside of the book sales and everything else that comes with it. But it's just the notoriety and what comes with it, and having the ability to, like, for example, I'm always getting quoted in all these different things. Like we're always in this media space, and that gives you that's more eyeballs on you. So that's what it all relates to.
One other place where there's definitely eyeballs on you is LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I would just love to get the like, how do you approach LinkedIn? Like you're clearly yourself on there.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm often witnessing like exchanges between you and Matthew Jarvis.
Oh, he saw the last one.
I don't know. but like tell us a little bit about like your approach to LinkedIn, because I think it was working for you.
I'm real on LinkedIn, and I think a lot of people put this facade of themselves and this caricature of like, hey, this is who I am, and that's not, like, everybody's their best version of themselves on social media. I want to be the opposite of that. I want to be who I am, and I want to tell people the scars of what's going on with my business and what's doing well in my business, because social media can make you feel really crappy about how your business is working. And like when you have people come on social media like, if you're not doing this, you're just garbage. Like, damn, well, what the hell just happened? Like, I guess I need to just shut down my doors right now, And I want people to realize that, no, that's not how life actually works. Because there's going to be some struggles. There's going to be some times where you have that April payout, like, oh, I feel good. How are these next 2 months going to go? Yeah, I got to figure this one out. People, that's real to people. I want people to get out of their own lenses, quite frankly, and start looking at other versions of things. And I think people on LinkedIn are starting to get better at that. But there's some people on LinkedIn that are like, no, this is how life is. I got my blinders on because everybody should act this way. And I know but Matt Jarvis, him and I are friends only because we started out in a LinkedIn fight.
Real quick, so you broke away 2023.
Yeah.
Right? You said you want to hit $100 million.
Yes, I do.
Give us your roadmap to $100 million, because you've been growing really fast over the last 2 years.
Yes.
Right? And I expect that growth to continue. Obviously, markets have been friendly.
Somewhat.
Somewhat friendly.
As long as we can have some quiet during the day.
That time frame. So talk to me about what that roadmap looks like, right? To get to that point, because there's, again, an advisor that is trying to do the same thing.
Quite honestly, there's no silver bullet. It's just doing the day-to-day work of asking for referrals in a polite manner and putting in the work for your current clientele. Now, if you want to be that person that gets a bunch of different leads and all that stuff and just work your butt off and go through all of that, by all means, I don't want to work that hard. Because those lead sources, they'll just like, here's 150 leads, and you can go through them and answer all these questions and ask all these people these things, and then none of them pan out. Half of them are fax machines and stuff like that. I can't do that. So I want to do really good work for the people that are with me right now, and then get that one person that I know, hey, maybe I got one lead this month, but I know that lead's going to convert, versus me having to talk to 50, 60 people and not knowing any of them going to convert. My goal is to get to 100 million by 2026, at the end of 2026. I know that's a year and a half from now. We're at 50. Can we double? Possibly. But it's not only going to be the referrals, but also adding in a new advisor. That's my goal.
From 22 to 50 to 100 million, I think that's a good growth trajectory.
Yeah. How do you, are you seeing that transition take place from advisor to business owner? Like what do you want? What's the role you want to play as your firm grows?
Eventually it's going to happen. You're going to see yourself managing people and all the other stuff. I don't know if I want to do that, but eventually it's going to happen. So right now I'm wearing two hats. I'm the advisor and the
You're a player coach.
the business owner. But eventually when we get to a point that I can't necessarily be on every single call and I have to just deal with my clients, it's going to get there.
So for the advisor watching, give them two pieces of advice that they can take with them today before we end, so they can start their business just like you did.
Well, first thing I would say is stay with your vision. Like, don't feel like you have to align with something that you don't feel branded to. Build your brand. And this is what thing they're going to say. You're not a Fidelity. You're not an altruist. You can't compete with these guys. It doesn't matter. You're not in competition. This is a huge ocean. There's a huge ocean of money out there. And whether you have a yacht or a dinghy, you can be successful, right? So stay true to your vision, stay true to your cause, and go after people that want to work with you. That's it. Think about it. Like, as an advisor, you can only work with 100, 150 people realistically, right? I mean, there's some people that can say, we can work with 200, 300. I don't want to, not me.
One touch a year, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. But if you want to have really good relationships, 100 to 150 people, and you can be very successful as an advisor. Very successful. It's not rocket science, but again, I know it's a lot of work. So one thing is just be true to yourself, and two, when you build your business, think about it like a small chunk. Like, don't think about like, I got to make 150 calls this week. Just like, hey, how many new clients do I need to reach X goal for the end of the year? And then back into, if it's 50, if you want 50 new clients for that year, then start backing into that goal. I'm like, okay, day one, this is what I need. I need to make this many calls for this many people for this month, and I can get to my goal. Just stop making these huge goals and just start backing into smaller chunks. That's why I say Kaizen, small wins. That's what this is about, man. It's about small wins, small journeys, small goals to get you to the overall effect of just a booming business. That's just my point.
Yeah, Kevin, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Hope I didn't bore you, man. I'm sorry.
No. How can people find you, find your stuff?
Well, at MLB to CFP, at MLB2CFP, I'm on all channels there. At 9iCap on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. We got some big stuff coming. We talk about the industry. We talk about what we love, what we hate.
I love your show, by the way.
Oh,
like,
man.
I watched a couple of episodes. We were talking about this before, but like your episodes with Andy Panko, who is the crusader of like IUL misinformation on LinkedIn, and he's obviously a funny, smart guy. But you guys have a great banter on there. You bring on some great guests as well, and then just like the content overall, I think it's awesome, and clearly it's adding value to your clients.
Yeah, it's entertaining too, because like nobody wants to come on YouTube and say, what is a Roth IRA? I'm like, come on, man.
Nobody wants encyclopedic entries. Like, it's angles, it's perspectives, like insights. That's the sort of thing that it seems like you're delivering.
But one thing I want to leave everybody with is this. The ocean's vast. You're not in competition with anyone. And when people talk about things on LinkedIn about if you're not doing this and that, you're failing, the ocean's huge, man. Just go get your boats, go fishing. And one client at a time, you're going to be successful. Stop thinking about everyone else on the yacht, the Fidos and everybody else with the super yachts running around. You'll be fine.
Thank you, Kevin. We appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you for having me, man. This has been awesome.
Thank you for listening to The Advisor Journey by Altruist. Brokerage-related products and services are provided by Altruist Financial LLC, a member of FINRA/SIPC. Results may vary. Altruist and its affiliates do not provide tax or legal advice.